That evening, I was sitting comfortably in my favorite green velvet armchair in the family room, the one I'd bought with my very first Social Security check after my dear husband passed away 15 years ago. The fresh coffee was cooling gently on the end table beside me, and the delicious aroma of peach cobbler wafted in from the kitchen where it was baking slowly. The television was murmuring softly with the evening news, just loud enough for me to hear without straining. This was my precious quiet time, the part of the day when my aching joints finally eased up a bit, and I could simply exist, breathing freely, serving no one but myself. Suddenly, the front door slammed open with such force it felt like a storm had burst into the house. I didn't even turn my head. I knew exactly who it was. My son-in-law, Derek, strode in as if he owned every inch of the place. Trailing behind him was my daughter, Lena, laden with heavy shopping bags, her shoulders slumped low, her eyes fixed firmly on the floor, like she was apologizing just for taking up space in her own mother's home. I stayed perfectly still in my chair. Derek planted himself right in front of the TV screen, completely blocking my view. He let out that familiar snort he always did when he caught me relaxing, doing absolutely nothing in his eyes. Without a word to me, he snatched up the remote and punched the power button. The screen went black in an instant. "Go to your room, old woman," he barked loudly. "I've got the game coming on. This family room is mine now." The silence that followed was heavy, almost suffocating. I could hear his breathing, short and arrogant, as if his yelling had somehow bought him permanent rights to everything around him. Slowly, deliberately, I turned my gaze toward Lena. She was hovering in the kitchen doorway, her knuckles turning white as she gripped those shopping bag handles. Our eyes met for a brief moment. I waited. Oh, how I waited for her to speak up, for her to say something as simple and rightful as, "Don't you dare talk to my mother like that. This is her house." But instead, she lowered her head, fiddling nervously with one of the bags, as if something inside had suddenly shifted. That small gesture hurt me far more than any of Derek's shouts ever could. His words were loud and cruel, but my own daughter's silence felt like the deepest betrayal. In that moment, a cold, clear sobriety washed over me. Not burning anger, not humiliating shame, just an icy, unshakable clarity. After 35 years working at the county recorder's office, I'd learned one unbreakable truth. Words can fade or be twisted, but documents always hold the power. I rose from my chair slowly, my knees giving a dry little click that echoed in the thick silence like the stamp of an official seal. Derek was already sprawling across my couch, unbuttoning his shirt collar, grabbing a soda from the fridge, without so much as a glance my way. In his mind, I had long ago become just another piece of furniture, something invisible and unimportant. I walked past him calmly and headed straight to my bedroom, not to hide or cry as they probably assumed I would. No, I had something far more important in mind. I opened the bottom drawer of my dresser and pulled out my stiff leather bank pouch. From the very bottom, I retrieved my spare set of keys and a thick folder secured with a blue elastic band. My fingers traced the rough edges of the papers inside, the original bill of sale, still perfectly valid, and the current deed of title listing the owner as Celeste M. Everson, me and me alone. The edges were yellowed with age, but their legal strength was as solid as iron. I caught my reflection in the mirror. Short gray hair, glasses hanging on a chain, simple linen trousers, and a navy blouse. I looked exactly like the sweet grandma who bakes cookies for everyone, and that had been my quiet strategy all these years. As long as I kept feeding the wolves, they felt like untouchable kings, but the moment I stopped, their paws turned soft and helpless. Welcome to my channel, everyone. I share brand new, real-life stories just like this one every single day, straight from the heart. If you're new here, or even if you've been around a while, I'd truly appreciate it if you'd hit that subscribe button and give this video a like. It helps me reach more people who need to hear these messages. And please, stay with me until the very end. I promise this story will touch you deeply and maybe even inspire you. Now, let me take you back a little further so you can feel exactly what I felt that day. Those 4 years leading up to that moment had been a slow erosion of my peace. It started innocently enough. Lena and Derek needed a place to stay just temporarily after some financial rough patch. I opened my home with love, as any mother would. But temporary turned to months, then years. I paid for everything. The mortgage was long gone, but the utilities tripled, groceries doubled, and I quietly covered it all. I started eating the burned edges of pies so they could have the perfect center slices. I watched my favorite shows with headphones on so I wouldn't disturb Derek's endless conference calls. I shrank myself smaller and smaller in my own home just to keep the peace. But that evening, something inside me said enough. I walked back into the family room carrying my quiet power. Derek had already cranked up the sports channel to blasting volume, lounging like a king. Lena was clattering dishes in the kitchen, choosing silence over standing up for me. I moved toward the front door, my heels clicking deliberately on the hardwood floor. Derek glanced over, smirked, and raised his soda can in a mocking toast. "Taking a little stroll, Celeste? Don't get lost now, at your age." I didn't even dignify him with a response. I simply turned the deadbolt, paused for one last look around, the framed print of the Savannah riverfront I'd hung with such pride, the rug I vacuumed faithfully every Saturday, Derek's arrogant back turned to me, Lena's shadow lingering in the kitchen. I touched the keys in my pocket. Their cold metal felt invigorating, like reclaimed strength. Then I stepped out the front door, closing the door behind me quietly but firmly, like you place a period at the end of a very long, exhausting sentence. The evening air was crisp and refreshing. I wasn't cold at all. In fact, I felt warmer inside than I had in years. I exhaled deeply, locked the front gate from the outside for good measure, walked to the avenue, and hailed a cab. "The Grand Hyatt downtown, please," I told the driver. In the cab, my fingers trembled ever so slightly as I pulled out my phone, not from fear, but from the rush of power surging through me. I scrolled to a contact I hadn't called in ages, but knew would answer. Andrew V. Sterling, attorney at law. We'd worked in the same building for decades. He handled property disputes, I processed deeds. We understood each other perfectly. "Celeste, it's nearly 9 o'clock. What's wrong?" His voice was concerned but steady. "I woke up today. I need your help urgently. Court tomorrow morning if needed." "Why the rush?" "My mental health and my property rights." "I'm listening." "I want to evict 2 tenants." "But you live with your daughter and son-in-law." "Exactly. That's the problem." There was a brief pause. He knew my reputation from all those years signing off on title documents. Where others saw gray areas, I saw black and white absolutes. "What did they do?" He yelled, "Old woman, this living room is mine now," and my daughter stayed completely silent. I left, and I won't return until they're gone. "I see. That sounds like emotional abuse at minimum. But you don't want pity, you want the law on your side, right?" "Yes. The house is solely mine. They've lived here 4 years with no lease, everything at my expense. I need a formal notice to quit, terminating their gratuitous use of the property. Personal service required. I'll have my junior associate, Roman P. Cruz, handle it first thing tomorrow. He's quiet, professional, impeccably dressed, delivers bad news clearly and without drama." "Perfect. Standard 30 days is fine, but include a note. They have 24 hours to grasp reality. Upon vacating, they'll be billed for back rent and any holding over penalties." "You're determined." "I'm wounded, Andrew, and a wounded woman who knows her rights is a force to be reckoned with." The cab pulled up to the hotel. The doorman opened the door with genuine courtesy, more respect than Derek had shown me in a decade. "Luggage, ma'am?" he asked. "Just my purse," I said softly, "and the dignity I've finally reclaimed." My room smelled of lavender and fresh linens. A big TV faced the bed. I turned it to my favorite channel and adjusted the volume exactly how I liked it. I ordered creamy soup and a glass of Cabernet from room service, ate slowly, savoring every bite. My thoughts drifted back to the house, but now they were truly my own thoughts again. I knew their morning routine by heart. Derek slept late, always grouchy and tired. Lena fluttered around him, smoothing his rough edges. I pictured Roman pressing the doorbell confidently. This wasn't a social call. This was the law knocking, the first firm strike of justice. I slept soundly that night, like someone who'd finally seized the steering wheel of her own life. The next morning, I showered, put on the same clothes but with a noticeably straighter posture, and headed to Andrew's office. I signed everything: dates, property details, notices. Each stroke of my pen felt like a small judgment rendered. Roman was already on his way, a tall young man with a leather briefcase. "I'll wait here in reception," I told Andrew. Panic has a way of circling back to mothers and mothers-in-law eventually. The office coffee smelled sweet and comforting. The wall clock ticked steadily. Somewhere across town, a new chapter was beginning in my family room, one written in legal terms. At 9:30, my phone vibrated. Lena's name flashed. I let it ring 3 times before answering calmly. "Mama, for heaven's sake, there's a man here, Roman, with some document. Derek is screaming. What's happening? Where are you?" I held the phone away from the shouting in the background. "Roman is the attorney's associate. Tell your husband to lower his voice. Read the notice aloud to him and let him know the old woman isn't available for screaming today." "But it says eviction, 30 days. Mama, have you lost your mind?" "Lena, for the first time in years, I'm completely clear-headed. Read it. Follow it. Less screaming will make this easier." I ended the call. That little red button restored my silence as easily as flipping off a light. Andrew peeked in. "Daughter?" I nodded. The performance has begun right on schedule. Roman confirmed service soon after. Signatures obtained, inventory attached. Now we waited. I sipped coffee and reflected deeply on those 4 years I'd diminished myself, shrinking to footstool size to avoid disturbing moods, leaving the best food for others, wearing headphones like a servant, paying skyrocketing bills in silence. I pulled out my pension statements, investment accounts, solid figures that proved I could stand alone. Then the bank transfers, down payment on their car, endless temporary top-ups, all signed by me out of love. The phone buzzed again. Texts from Derek. "Come home, let's talk." I ignored them like brushing away crumbs. Andrew offered tea. I declined. "I need something stronger today. Suspend all utilities in my name: internet, cable with the sports package, landline, Lena's supplementary card. Not cancel, suspend. I'll reactivate when the house is mine again." That'll hit hard. Yesterday hurt me deeply. Today they'll just feel the consequences. There's a difference. I jotted my plan in a notebook. Step 1, legal notice served. Step 2, cut financial lifelines. Step 3, maintain calm silence. No explanations, no drama, just facts. More frantic texts from Lena poured in. I set the phone aside. My silence was the loudest response. "Any good clothing stores nearby?" I asked Andrew. "The Gallery Mall, 2 blocks. I'm dressed like the accommodating grandma today. Time for a wardrobe that sets boundaries." "You're dangerous when you're this calm."
I'm just returning to who I always was. Outside, the day was bright. I walked briskly, shoulders back, reflections showing a taller, stronger woman. No revenge in my heart, just order. At the mall, soft music played overhead. A consultant named Jenna approached without the usual pitying tone for older women. I need a uniform, calm, professional, something for setting firm boundaries today. She brought perfect pieces: dark blue trousers, crisp white blouse, beige linen blazer, low-heeled pumps that clicked with authority. In the fitting room, everything fit like it was made for this new me. I donated my old clothes to charity. Time for them to serve someone else. From a quiet restaurant upstairs, I called the providers and bank. Services suspended, card blocked. Then I enjoyed mushroom risotto and white wine slowly, phone face down, tasting every bite without rushing or hiding. Texts confirmed declines at stores. Derek messaged furiously. I replied once. The credit and trust expired yesterday, along with your control. Back at the hotel, I napped peacefully. The landline rang, reception informing me Lena was downstairs, urgent. I freshened up, smoothed my new blazer, and descended. She paced the lobby, looking exhausted. Mama, what is all this? Everything's cut off. Derek's furious. Come home. Enough drama. Sit, I said firmly but calmly. We're in public. We'll speak respectfully. She sat, switching to that placating tone reserved for the elderly. He had a bad day. He apologized by text. Let's go home. I'll make tea. I'm not offended anymore. I've made a clear decision. The house is mine alone. You've lived there 4 years rent-free. 30 days to vacate. Utilities stay off. This isn't revenge. It's restoring order. But he needs to work. You're ruining us. He can work from cafes or his mother's house. Those services were my expense, no longer. You're humiliating us. Humiliation is being banished from my own room for someone else's game. Today, everyone simply pays their own way. She defended their savings. I asked pointedly where the $100,000 in saved living costs had gone. Her eyes darted away, tied up in Derek's investments. Tomorrow, 10 a.m. sharp at Mr. Sterling's office. Both of you. We'll examine those investments. You're lawyering against family? I'm enforcing rules. Family means respect, not go to your room, old woman. She whispered he'd divorce her without my house. I covered her hands gently. If your marriage depends on my property and money, it's not family, it's captivity, and you're the captive. She pulled away, calling me cruel. No, dear, I've become whole. At 68, it's about time. You have a head start at 40. She left angrily, but agreed to the meeting. Back upstairs, emails confirmed Derek's workplace reprimand. I disabled location sharing. He no longer tracked for my safety. The next day, in the cool conference room, I sat at the head, armored with paper and poise. They arrived disheveled, defeated already. Derek blustered about rights and adverse possession. I calmly explained why it didn't apply. I lived there, paid everything, and now objected formally. Andrew confirmed the notice's validity. When Derek threatened suits over emotional distress, Andrew noted internet isn't essential. I presented evidence of Derek's gambling losses, 0 savings, debts, all on my dime. Lena's face crumbled as truth hit. Terms were clear: 30 days, no utilities restored, no contact except written. I warned of police if threats occurred. To Lena, choose stay drowning or swim free. I'm your mother, not your ATM. After, Lena called from the parking lot. She'd walked away from Derek's rage. Thank you for helping me see. We met professionals the following weeks. She rented her own place, filed divorce, blocked him. Day 30 I spent at a spa while the move happened. Returned to an empty house, stale but mine. I cleaned thoroughly, repainted peach, reclaimed every corner. Lena visited as a guest, knocking, grateful. You stopped feeding the lie. I started weekly teas for neighbors facing similar pressures, teaching wills, separate finances, saying no without guilt. Women left stronger. Now my home breathes peace. The remote is mine, volume mine, life mine. I'm so grateful you listened to my story today. If it moved you, please like, subscribe, and comment your city and time. I love knowing you're out there. Donations help me share daily. More stories on screen. See you tomorrow.